Hello, this is Mackie. Today I will be reading Chapter 5 of the Shepherd the Flock of God Elders Handbook. Now, this chapter will be split into different parts, being that it's so long. So, this is part 1, and the title is Determining Whether a Judicial Committee Should be Formed. The box says, act promptly upon receiving a report of serious wrongdoing. Is the alleged offense serious? Has the wrongdoing been established? Are there other factors to be considered? Paragraph 1. Elders should act promptly when they receive a report of serious wrongdoing so as to safeguard the congregation and provide assistance to the wrongdoer. Neglecting to care for such matters can hinder the flow of Jehovah's Holy Spirit to the congregation. Elders must first assess whether the alleged wrongdoing, if established, is serious enough to require a judicial committee. Subtitle: Offenses Requiring Judicial Decisions. Paragraph 2. Listed below are offenses that may require review by a judicial committee. Of course, this list is not comprehensive. There may be other matters that would also merit the attention of a judicial committee. The elders must use good judgment and reasonableness when evaluating the seriousness of the alleged wrongdoing. They should consider the extent of nature of the misconduct, intent and motive, frequency or practice, and so forth. If there is a question about whether certain wrongdoing merits judicial action, the body of elders may write to the branch office requesting further direction concerning the case. Paragraph 3. Manslaughter. Aside from deliberate murder, blood guilt may be incurred if a person causes loss of life through carelessness or because of violating a traffic law or other safety law of Caesar. The elders should investigate and, if warranted, appoint a judicial committee to hear the matter. The committee should base its decision on clearly established facts, not simply on a decision that may have been made by secular authorities. Paragraph 4. Attempted suicide may be the result of deep despair or major depression. Deal carefully and compassionately with such a person. In most cases, a judicial hearing is not required. Paragraph 5. Porneia. Porneia involves immoral use of the genitals, whether in a natural or in a perverted way, with lewd intent. There must have been another party to the immorality, a human of either sex or a beast. Willing participation incurs guilt and requires judicial action. It is not a casual touching of the sex organs, but involves the manipulation of the genitals. It includes oral sex, anal sex, and manipulation of the genitals between individuals not married to each other. Porneia does not require skin-to-skin contact, copulation as in penetration, or sexual climax. I want to go back and just read the middle of this paragraph again. It says, it is not a casual touching of the sex organs, but involves manipulation of the genitals. It includes oral sex, anal sex, and manipulation of the genitals between individuals not married to each other. So, if you are married to each other, that means oral sex, anal sex, and manipulation of the genitals is okay. Moving right along to paragraph 6, or number 6. Self-abuse or masturbation of oneself is not porneia. Number 7. One who has raped would not be guilty of porneia. Discernment is needed when considering claims of rape. Taking into consideration such factors as the mental disposition of the person, the circumstances that led up to the incident, and any delay in reporting. Number 8. In all cases involving the possibility of porneia, it is the responsibility of the judicial committee to use the scriptures to weigh carefully the facts in each case. This responsibility is especially serious when it involves scriptural freedom, the scriptural freedom to remarry. In situations in which the elders are uncertain or divided on their conclusions, it is best to write the branch office. Number 9. Brazen conduct, loose conduct. The Greek word translated brazen conduct or loose conduct as aselgia. Strong's Greek dictionary uses very forceful terms to define it: licentiousness, filthiness, lasciviousness, wantonness. The New Thayer's Greek English lexicon adds to the list unbridled lust, outrageousness, shamelessness, insolence. Another lexicon defines aselgia as conduct that violates all bounds of what is socially acceptable, rather than relating to bad conduct of a somewhat petty or minor nature. Brazen conduct describes acts that reflect on an attitude that betrays disrespect, disregard, or even contempt for divine standards, laws, and authority. Therefore, two elements are involved in brazen conduct. Number one, the conduct itself is a serious violation of Jehovah's laws. And number two, the attitude of the wrongdoer toward God's laws is disrespectful. I'm sorry. One moment. Number 10. Though this is not an exhaustive list, brazen conduct may be involved in the following of the wrong if the wrongdoer has an insolent, contemptuous attitude made evident by a practice of these things. Willful, continued unnecessary association with disfellowshipped non-relatives despite repeated counsel. Child sexual abuse. This would include fondling of breasts, an explicitly immoral proposal, showing pornography to a child, voyeurism, indecent exposure, and so forth. Continuing to date or pursue a romantic relationship with a person, though not legally or scripturally free to marry, despite repeated counsel and generally after a warning talk to the congregation. Number 11. Evidence testified to by at least two witnesses that the accused stayed all night in the same house with a person of the opposite sex or in the same house with a known homosexual under improper circumstances. If questions are raised regarding scriptural freedom to remarry, see 12:12. Elders should use good judgment in assessing the situation before forming a judicial committee. Were the two persons alone together all night? Is there evidence of a romantic relationship? Excuse me. Are there understandable reasons, such as an unexpected emergency, that caused the situation? If there are no extenuating circumstances, a judicial committee would be formed on the basis of strong circumstantial evidence of porneia. Depending upon the attitude of the accused, there might even be evidence of brazen conduct. Consider the following examples. A married brother spends an inordinate amount of time with his female secretary after work hours, but insists there is no romantic interest. His concerned wife informs the elders, who give him strong counsel. Later, when he claims to be leaving overnight for a quote-unquote business trip, his suspicious wife and a relative follow him to the secretary's home. They observed the secretary inside. They observed the secretary invite. They observed that the secretary invite him inside at 10 p.m. and continue watching all night until he leaves the home at 7 a.m. When the elders speak to him, he admits that he spent the night alone with his secretary, but he denies that he committed adultery. In such a case, the elders have a basis to take judicial action because there is strong circumstantial evidence of porneia and there may be elements of brazen conduct. The innocent mate's conscience may allow her to choose to divorce him and remarry. The elders would not take action against her for making this decision. Stay tuned, everyone, for part 2 of The Shepherd, the Flock of God, chapter 5.